the airlines at the airports rather with the planes, with the laying off of different traffic controllers, if that has affected the different islands. And so,
Right.
Al Jackson, who was formerly with WLIB Radio,
Hmm.
suggested that I talk to Ambassador Lionel Hurst.
Right.
So we're waiting for him to call, and if he calls, fine, it's still okay, and we will have him on another time. Another thing, Eric, I know you have some information that we're going to be talking about to want to tell you that Mal had called. I'm always in touch with Mal,
Hmm.
Mal Woolfolk. I remember we were talking about the veterans' jobs at the airport and for different careers. He got a lot of calls. The Global Trade and Technology Center got a lot of calls, and they are, a lot of people are following up on this.
Why
So,
don't you remind? And if you're watching this on UStream and you see me looking down, I'm trying to text my cousin to call in and to text some people to call in. Also, too,
your
we want
cousin is
we
who?
my cousin is Congressman Donald Payne Jr. and he often, as you know, if you've been listening to the last couple of shows,
Yeah.
gives us some updates about what's going on in the fight that they're fighting in Congress. Just a really quick thing about that.
Yeah.
It came out in the news today that Senator Pat Toomey, one of the sponsors of the gun control bill, the bill to get background checks, along with Senator Manchin from West Virginia. Toomey is a Republican out of Pennsylvania, and he came out saying in the news today that they couldn't get it done because a lot of his members, a lot of the members in his party, Republicans, just didn't want to give the president a victory, didn't want to do anything to help President Barack Obama. And 90% of the people in the country want background checks, but here it is, one of their own members admitting that they just don't want to give Barack Obama a victory or help
Yeah.
him out. And they think
Give
it's going to be
him.
helping him. It's helping the American public. So when you hear these shows talking about Congress, they're not doing anything in the Senate. It really that's a generalization. That's pretty broad. So let's target it. It's a lot of the Republicans, not all, because Toomey is a Republican. He was doing the right thing, and there are other Republicans too.
And he wants background
And
checks,
he
and the
wants
rest of the
background
Republicans.
checks. He
Yeah.
sees the logic, and that it makes sense to do that. So when you hear these people, or don't be one of those ones to just say they're not throw the baby out with the bathwater. Target the individuals that aren't doing it. You can go to their websites and you can find out who voted which way. You can go to probably the congressman or the senator's website, or you can Google their name and you can get their website. You can find out how they voted. So don't fall into that trap when they talk about Congress is not doing anything, the Senate's not doing anything. There are certain individuals that are blocking that, and those individuals need to be targeted. Pardon the pun, or don't pardon the pun. The pun is intentional. Those individuals need to be targeted to be voted out of office if they're not voting the way
Here,
that you
here.
that you want to vote, the way that 90% of the people want to vote. So let's not talk about the whole Congress because there are plenty of people in there that are trying to do the right thing, and Republican and Democrat, and even a few independents. There's only a few in there. So target the ones who aren't doing the right thing. So I just wanted
One
to
of the
point that
right
out.
things is gun control.
At least background checks at
Yeah,
the very least.
background checks, and some of them don't even want that. But you know what, Eric? There's another thing going on here in New York that we're very interested in, and especially having taught school. There's a new thing. What's going to be happening is that according to Dennis Walcott, who was the school's chancellor over here, they're going to be have adding 2 hours to the school day. Who are here in New York City, they are doing intense training, intense education, which is absolutely great. So, congratulations to
Well,
Manhattan.
go ahead.
Yeah, and what they're going to be doing is it's by private
Right.
funding that they are extending this because they've got to pay their teachers, they've got to pay, everybody involved with the school system. So it's really great. I don't know how many schools this is being done with, but they are targeting
Right.
middle school
And on
students.
that point, I understand it from what the story I saw. My understanding is that it's a pilot
That's
program,
right.
and they're going to try to do it in a certain smaller number of schools first to see how
Yeah.
it works. And it's an additional 2 hours a day, focusing on with math and reading.
Mainly reading, literacy.
And it's a good thing
They
because
should have done it a long time ago,
I
by
mean,
the
in the
way.
world, American children are kind of way down on the list in terms of their skills in mathematics and science. So we
Mm.
need to focus on education, and part of the unfortunate sequester
Yeah.
situation is affecting programs like Head Start, other educational programs, Meals on Wheels. I mean, this kind of veers
Yeah.
off the subject, but
No,
go
that's
ahead
part
with
of
you.
it. That's
And,
part of
and
it.
these are things that are being
Yeah.
affected, and these guys. When it came time for, they talk about it, but when it came time for people complaining and business class people complaining about their flights and stuff like that, that passed really quickly.
Yeah,
But the things that affect the most unfortunate and the most needy of our society, the people who can at least afford things to go wrong for them, or to have the rug pulled out from underneath them, there seems not to be an urgent attempt to try and help these people. And
right.
and they're not the powerful, they're not the moneyed, they're not the connected. They're the average everyday American citizen, and they shouldn't be forgotten.
Absolutely. And along with this whole, focus on education, on the longer school days, the school days are stretched out. Now, this is not only involves students, but it also involves teachers who need help. I was talking about this. There are some teachers who need help in various areas. And the middle school initiative, this is a big thing here. It's going to be focusing on literacy and reading, and the focus is really intense. And as I said earlier, Eric, it is funded and paid for by private foundations. And the other thing is that the schools themselves can decide how to develop this program,
Hmm.
know what to do, because when teachers get together, when educators get together, when the principals and the superintendents get together, they come out with some really good, intense things.
Hmm.
And so, if they have the money to do it, because some teachers will object to 2 more hours, let me get paid for it. They work hard anyway.
That's true.
Majority of them do. There's a couple of teachers. Some teachers I have difficulty with, and
Well, there's always a few bad
yeah,
apples in the
yeah,
bunch. Hey, you guys, if you go to Ustream, what's the website? Ustream.tv. You could see us streaming live on Ustream if you want to check us out while we're talking about all this stuff here. Also, we need you to tweet us, to like us on Facebook, to give us some comments,
right.
and you can see the archive show. And we want you to also go to GoPro Radio and click watch.
Yay!
Uh, Also, too, don't forget about the CD for the show.
Uh-huh.
Today's show is
Discreet.
sponsored by On the Move Sounds,
Right.
inspired by Mumia Abu Jamal.
Jamal. Yeah, he's
And you can get the
unfortunately still in
yeah,
jail.
you can get the CD, like I said, at bwmovingimages.com. Also, you can go to donate to GoPro Radio at goproradio.com directly on the site and click the donate button
Yeah.
if you want to support the fastest growing network in the galaxy
Absolutely,
from here to
absolutely. And
Mars.
as a matter of fact, people can call, and we are waiting to hear from Ambassador Lionel Hurst from Antigua. There's a funny story that
Is that a?
Al,
Oh yeah, we got a phone call. This is the
we
congressman. This is my
do.
cousin.
Okay.
Go ahead. What's up, congressman?
Hi, Congressman. Are you
Good
there?
evening. How is everyone?
Oh, we're
How you
fine.
doing?
How are you, Donald?
Doing well, thank you.
What's new in the on the Hill?
Well, actually, this is a what we call a district work week. So we are not in session. We are all in our district, meeting with constituents, having meetings, briefings, and the like, going to different events. So it's an opportunity for us to spend a solid week in the district and meet with our constituents and see what's going on in the district.
Mm. And you're really doing that by coming on Kae Thompson Live because this is part of your district. We're in Jersey City.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, what type of things, just so people know, because the average person doesn't really have quite a clear idea what you do when you're in a district. What does that entail?
Well, it entails quite a bit of meeting with constituents, and what I'm trying to do at this point is pull my schedule up so I can give you an idea of what I have to look forward to on a day-by-day basis.
Mm.
Which is busy,
And
busy. I spent some time with them in D.C.,
Yeah.
and there's literally something on the schedule every single hour. Not to mention going to vote because the bell rings. They got to run across the street, go vote, come back, meet with constituents, have committee meetings. So a lot of people that think that these folks aren't earning their money, they are,
They really
and they're
are.
working on your behalf.
Hmm.
And some people do get wealthy taking advantage of opportunities that come their way. But a lot of people that are doing the right thing, they live right there in your community, lived there for years. I always talk about you guys lived on the same streets ever since we were little, as I could remember. So uh, uh,
over 50, over
over 50
50 years,
years,
I would say.
because we're both over 50. and
Watch it, Eric.
for a long time.
Watch it, Chop.
We used to play
Or
one-on-one.
when I'm being politically correct, I
No.
say 3 generations of Paynes on that street.
Exactly. Wow, that's right.
And we were right
And
around
so,
a couple
yeah,
corners.
just to give you an idea of what my day constitutes. Tomorrow I have a breakfast meeting with some clergy in the area, and then at 10 o'clock, Planned Parenthood is having a function. Also at that time, there is a meeting with the NEA, and then at 11:30, I'm meeting with the juvenile diabetes research people. Well, actually, look at that. At noon, I don't have anything. Wow.
Wow.
And then at 1 o'clock, I'm meeting with New Jersey Council of Humanities. At 3 p.m., I have a nonprofit coming in that I work with, Satori Group. My son has a track meet at 4 o'clock. And then at 4:30, I have some business owners from New Jersey. At 5:30, at the Business Hall of Fame. At 6 p.m., there is a political function in Elizabeth. At 6:30 p.m., there is the UNCF Masquerade Ball. At 7 o'clock, I have a walkthrough of the FedEx hub at Newark Airport, and that kind of constitutes my day.
Right.
Wow.
Now, and also
So
too.
it starts at 9, and this looks like it'll go beyond 10 p.m. tomorrow.
Right. So that's over a 12-hour day. Not to mention trying to get in there and go to an event for your children, because a lot of people don't know that that's kind of a somewhat of a sacrifice that a lot of representatives make, of missing out, especially if you have kids. Your kids are around high school age, especially if you have children that are at that age. You kind of have to negotiate that. So, and also the fact that people talk to you wherever you are. You go shopping in the supermarket, someone might recognize you and come up with you and say, I'd like to talk to you about this issue, Congressman. So, we know that firsthand. I mean, Mom,
Yeah.
I know that with Don. I'm not used to calling him Don, but I'm not gonna say the nickname because then other people feel that they
Well,
can
you
call
won't
you
mind, would you,
No,
Chop?
no, no, no. We don't want to. But cat's out the bag now. But
Whoops.
but we've grown up with that being a part of our family life, and it comes with the territory. It's not something that.
But I want to ask Donald, where are you tomorrow? Are you in Jersey? Are you on this side of the?
I
Yeah.
am in Jersey.
Okay.
Yes, I will be here until Monday when we go back. We have votes at 6 p.m. on Monday night.
Wow.
So I will be in the district until then.
Wow.
Right.
That's amazing. That's quite a schedule. That is difficult.
Hmm.
That is difficult,
And
especially having a
that's
young
just
family with you.
That's just tomorrow.
That's just tomorrow. What about the next day? What's tomorrow? Thursday. What about
Tomorrow's
Friday? Are you
Thursday,
free?
And there are a myriad of the same type of functions
Wow.
going on, and it's just a good opportunity for people that normally can't touch me Monday through Thursday. That when these weeks come up, they do and we do seize the opportunity to get as much done as possible.
We'd like to have you in here to the studio, more often so we can have people call and actually, talk to you about the different things that they may want to address with you, bring up to you. So is that
That would be
possible?
great.
So the
Eric?
next time you have a recess for a week, maybe we could work that out and put that in your schedule and let your constituents know that they can call in with questions, and we can let people know when that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Now, what I noticed, we're going to have to go for a break. What, right now? Like, we got a break now?
Look for the.
All right, we got to go for a break.
Yeah.
Hold on for a second there,
We
Mr.
will
Congressman.
be right back. Stay with us, everyone.
By the GoPro Radio Network, the fastest growing network in the galaxy. GoPro Radio Network, Listen to the voices in your head.
You want to know the truth, folks? Do you really want to know the truth? Well, perhaps you can't handle the truth. But if you can listen to Go Pro Radio. Tune in at www.goproradio.com. Now, have I made myself clear?
Go Pro Radio Network. Listen to the voices in your head. I know I do.
I'm going to give out the number.
Okay, we're back, and you're going to give out the call-in number. Yeah, that would be good. That makes sense, right? We should have given out the call-in number if people want to call in, and now since we have the congressman on the line, maybe you can ask him a question or two.
Let me give you the number real fast. The number for you to call in, everyone, to talk to Congressman Donald Payne Jr. The number is 323-679-0906. Once again, that number is 323-679-0906 to talk to Congressman Donald Payne. Here's your opportunity. Congressman, are you still there?
Yeah.
All right. Well, while we're working for calls, what's one of the major things that you are working on that you're really concerned more about than any other? Although, one thing I wish you did introduce, or not introduce, but, elaborate on the background checks for gun control. What's going on with that?
Yeah, and I'm sorry I couldn't be with you last week to discuss that. We in the Congress and hundreds of millions of people around the country had expressed a desire to accept universal background checks. And, the argument for it is, well, this would prohibit criminals and for the most part, mentally handicapped people from being able to acquire guns. And, the right wing's argument was, well, criminals don't get their guns and have background checks anyway because they can't get them. Well, that's true, but we want to eliminate the prospect of them, if by any loophole or anything, being able to get them. But I think this specifically addresses the issues around the mentally ill.
Yeah.
As you know, being mentally ill is not a crime, but in situations, the instability of an individual can manifest itself in violent ways. As we've seen in Aurora and at the Temple,
Yeah.
Wisconsin, and the most disturbing, and they all are horrific. Any crime of that nature is horrific. But here you have members of Congress and senators in the United States Senate, and you have a clear example. One of your colleagues, your former colleague, at an event like I'm talking about, in front of a Walgreens drugstore, meeting her constituents, was shot and has been damaged for life.
Yeah.
Thank God she didn't lose her life, but she's still learning to compose sentences and speak again as she did so eloquently at one time. This is the type of thing that we need to stop.
Yeah.
And for these men to have that example of someone they worked with to come to that and still not think that it is important, I was ashamed to be a member of the Congress that day.
Right. We have and it was a shameful thing that they did, particularly what happened with one of their own. We have a caller on the line. Caller, go ahead. Welcome to the Kae Thompson Live Show.
Hello?
Yes, you're on.
Hi. First, I just wanted to say that I think this is a really fantastic program, and I think that Congressman Donald Payne Jr. is doing an amazing job. I'm a business owner here in Jersey City, And I just had a question in terms of who the congressman was supporting for mayor of Jersey City and why.
Hmm. Well, let's see. I
Who?
really wasn't prepared to get involved in politics in terms of that type of support. I think that's for another time. But in terms of your small business, what type of business are you in?
And in multimedia, and I only ask not to
And Colin, let me just ask you if you could
you know.
state your name first.
Oh, my name is Louise Johnson,
Okay.
and I'm in multimedia, and I just ask because you've got quite the reputation for supporting communities, and I just wondered if hopefully some of that support would be able to trickle down to the Jersey City area. And
Absolutely. I will. In your capacity on the federal level, it is sometimes difficult to get involved in these local issues in terms of who the next mayor will be. I have the same issue in East Orange and the same issue in Newark and throughout the district. But when the time comes and we assess it, we were supported last time during my campaign by Stephen Fulop, who I believe is one of the front leaders for the mayorship in Jersey City. And I've worked well with Mayor Jeremiah Healy in the past, and I also know Jerry Walker. So, it's sometimes better to stay out of those squabbles, but
sure.
when the time comes, we will make a decision and we will let that be known. But right now in this atmosphere, I really want to talk about the work that I'm doing in Congress and how I can help small businesses like you. One of my committee assignments is small business, and I took an interest in that because of the likes of constituents such as yourself who are entrepreneurs and are looking to further their businesses and have them grow. So I thought it was very important, based on my district, to get on that committee. I'm also on the committee for Homeland Security, but I thought small business was important because at the city of Newark as a councilman, that was one of my major focuses, job creation and supporting minority and small women and WBE businesses. So I wanted to continue that on the federal level to see what I could do in terms of, enhancing what we have here in the 10th Congressional District. And we will be holding small business forums, bringing in the SBA, and having those type of forums to let small business owners know what is available to them from the federal government.
Also,
Well, I just like to say I'll let you guys continue the show that I think it's spoken like a true statesman, and just another affirmation of just why your constituents needed to support you. I think that you bring class and grace and true commitment to the community back to Washington, and that's what we need. And I'm looking forward to being your constituent for the next term, and I think you're doing an amazing and fantastic job. So thank you very much.
thank you for
Well,
calling.
Ms. Johnson, you just made my night, and I want to thank you. And that's the reason I do it. But I had a great teacher, and I'm just following
Yeah.
what I was taught and how to conduct myself in that manner. But thank you for that. That was very kind of you.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you all. Great job. Have a great night.
Thank
Thank you.
Listen, Congressman, there is something I would like to, touch on real fast, and that is this. The summer months are coming, practically honest, and there's going to be a series of events that are very important to a number of different communities, and I'm talking about the Caribbean festivals. the marching, the parades, the festivals, the events, the
Carnival.
carnival. And we were waiting to talk to Congressman, not Congressman, the former ambassador, Ambassador Lionel Hurst from Antigua.
Hmm.
And we were going to be talking about that. But, we were in touch with some people around City Hall here in Jersey City, and we want to find out when that event is going to be happening because it's going to be happening in Newark, it's going to be happening in Brooklyn with the big event, and that's going to
And you have
attract thousands of people.
and of course you have a large constituency that are people from the Caribbean
That's right.
as well.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah, on that note, if I could talk about the comprehensive immigration bill that's
Yes.
before us in the Congress, which will have some impact on the population and the community that you just mentioned.
Yeah.
There is, you know, we've heard all the talk around um, pathway to citizenship for the 11 million undocumented workers in this country and family reunification, which I support wholeheartedly. But what we have found is there is also a component of immigration called diversity visas. Now, these are the visas that allow basically people of color, whether it be from Africa or the Caribbean, to come to this country. What we have found in the Senate bill, which will be the first to come and then the House will receive it, is that diversity visas have been totally wiped out, that they won't exist in this new immigration law. Let me state this clearly for your listeners. Any legislation that changes the way or the number of people that are allowed to come to this country by way of those visas, I will not vote for.
hmm
Say that again,
And
please.
I am
Say that again, please, Congressman.
any legislation that comes before us that removes diversity visas or pathway for Africans from the continent
Mhm.
or Caribbeans to come to this country, I will not vote for.
Here, here.
hmm
Now, I support comprehensive immigration. I support the movement for those 11 million undocumented workers. I think it's the right thing to do. They're part of this country.
Yes.
They help and they feed this economy. They do the jobs that people do not want to do in this nation.
Mm-hmm.
So they should have a pathway to citizenship. But we're not going to wipe out the only way that people of color from Africa and the diaspora can come to this country legally.
hmm
I do not accept that. I've let the leadership know that, and there is a growing movement in the Congressional Black Caucus that have heard me and that agree, and they will be less 43 votes to pass that immigration bill without the Congressional Black Caucus.
hmm
And I think to a member, I think we will hold hard and fast on that.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
that's good. We're gonna have to go for a break in about 2 minutes, Congressman. But I was just getting ready to ask you that about immigration as it affects black and brown people, black and brown people from those areas, because we're looking at this particular situation with the Boston situation where people have come from a certain area of the world, and I mean, look what we see what happened with the terrible, horrific,
The Boston bombing.
the horrific. I'm talking about the Boston bombing and,
Right.
and a very horrific outcome. And I was just wondering that very question. How immigration stands between, because one reporter on a network, um, one reporter on a network happened to have some wrong information, and he said initially, early on in that when that situation was happening, that a couple of the people might have been two dark-skinned men, and so there was really no reason at that time to say that, except for the fact, the image that it brings up once again. And we got to go for a break real quick. I want you to hold on so we can continue that conversation about immigration and how it affects
Okay.
diversity of people.
And we will be right back. Everyone, stay with us, please.
Uh,
This is Kae Thompson Live.
And also, we want you not to forget that today's show is sponsored by, the sounds are sponsored by the Mumia Abu Jamal CD, On the Move. And these are sounds are sponsored by that. We want you to get the CD at bwmovingimages.com. And you can also donate to GoPro Radio at goproradio.com directly on that site and click on the donate button to support the fastest growing network in the galaxy. And we'll
Hey,
be right back.
GoProtos! If you're in the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, AK Tri-State area, you're in the perfect spot to join a fast-growing community of energetic, political, creative, and eco-conscious activists focused on real climate change and environmental awareness. Now it's time to bring the fight to the airwaves. So we're calling all musicians, students, professionals, and Earth lovers to get down with Eco-Socialist Horizons on the GoPro Radio Network and help tackle the greatest challenge humanity has ever faced. If you're interested in getting involved, and there are many ways that you can both on and off the air, email us at ecohorizon@goproradio.com. That's Eco-Socialist Horizons with Joel Cavell and Quincy Saul, only on the GoPro Radio Network. Listen to the voices in your head. www.goproradio.com.
Yes, we are. Kae Thompson Live. We are back. And we were talking about what, Eric and Donald Payne Jr.?
We're talking about the immigration, and you know, I put to you, Congressman, about the you mentioned the diversity visas, and they're trying to cut that out. But ironically, the bombers didn't look like people from those parts of the world. They weren't too dark-skinned men. They were quite light, as a matter of fact. Seemed to be from a different part of the world. So it's just interesting to me the image that is perpetuated, and come to find out, the people who did the damage, and now they're finding that they might have had three accomplices, or three friends of the people who tried to conceal some of the stuff, and a couple of them looked like these guys as well. And I don't know if you want to comment on that or not. This is me talking, so it's just I found it an interesting kind of sidebar note that, you know, they try to describe these guys as looking one way, and they look another way, and it's just kind of perpetuation of kind of certain negative images about people of color, I think. I don't know if you have anything.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, based on what we've gone through over the past, the tenure of the president that we find in office now, we know it's alive and well. So, I mean, there's no reason to mince words.
Right.
You know, but the one thing I would caution, and where I think the issue lies is, and I know, you know, we need to get to the bottom of it, and the more, you know, our federal authorities, the FBI, and people involved in that type of investigation dig, that they will, you know, they will get to the bottom of it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was an incredible demonstration of the intergovernmental workings and operations.
Absolutely.
From municipal to federal, that these people were able to perpetrate something, the first terrorist attack on this country since 9/11 that was successful, and there have probably been thousands of attempts, but this was the first one that was successful. Now we need that's one too many,
right?
But in the scheme of things, that is not a bad record,
right?
Yeah.
But for the family that lost loved ones, I know it's one too many. So I don't want to minimize,
absolutely,
you know, how horrific a situation that is. That the image of that poor little boy when they showed his picture of who he was, was, you know, wrenches my heart. But on the flip side of that, to have had that situation happen on a Monday, and to have apprehended the suspects by Friday,
amazing,
I think is exceptional and incredible work.
Absolutely.
And we need to realize that there, have described it as looking for ants. You're looking for ants. There were tens of thousands of people at that event. So to sift through all of those pictures and video and how people moved and how they looked, and it was absolutely incredible.
Right, that's great work.
And I think where the ball was dropped, if anywhere, what happened is, these young men had become naturalized American citizens. So they were endowed with all the rights that the rest of us had,
right,
which probably eased the scrutiny of them,
right,
because they were now American citizens. So I think that's where the problem lies. Once they were American citizens, the authorities
what
took
do
a
you
breath,
do?
and they weren't necessarily, people of interest anymore.
Right. Now, this was my reaction today in finding at least 3 other individuals, and maybe this is the reaction of a lot of Americans, that maybe we should just shut it down for a minute. No more people could come in to live in the United States, and thank
what
you.
Is that going to be
the
doing
door is
to
closed.
to the immigration?
No more. Well, I mean, this
people?
is I'm quite sure that I'm not the only one, and there's probably some people, different types of folks that have a lot more extreme perspectives about that. But it's all, it kind of makes you want to close the doors of everybody that's coming. If you can't trust anybody anymore, you can't physically identify people that are going to be terrorists, because people that have that in their heart really have no particular type of physical. I mean, you could say they're from a region of the world or this or that, and there's a lot of other details that go into that reasoning, but you really can't. And
it's very difficult.
And when you think about it and become a little bit more involved about it, it's really a battle of the hearts and the minds. And I'm wondering what you, Ma, what you, Don, think about that along those lines. I mean, that's kind of a reactionary thing, but obviously.
Well, yeah, but one thing, maybe it takes reactionary things to sort of put a stop to this. Although I don't think that it would probably ever be stopped because of the feelings that some people have outside of the United States. So there's always going to be terrorists, and then we're always going to have to be dealing with them. And we have to really get the Congress involved in seeing the proper way to go about this. I'm going to go to a different subject right now, Congressman Donald Payne, if you don't mind. I want to lift this a little bit because these are the things that really we are looking at. We're very concerned about, immigration. We're concerned about the bombing episodes, and they're not going to stop. They're going to be more. We just have to come out with new ways to deal with it.
Hopefully there won't. There won't be more. So let's state positive things and say
yes. Okay. Well, there's a positive thing that I'm going to be talking about right now.
All right.
And that is sports, and that is Jason Collins. And thank goodness for him, because of the fact that this young man has declared what he feels in his heart. He is gay. And I congratulate him for coming out with it, because of the fact that just think of the little kids who have certain feelings about their bodies, and they probably feel very good about it. They're not different. And because when they go to school and they're picked on and they're talked about, and it's really a very difficult thing for young men to deal with. So, and then this hero really comes out with this, and he's just talking about who he is. What do you two think about that?
You go ahead first, Congressman, because I remember we used to see him when he played for the Knicks.
I think it is a milestone.
Yeah.
In this country's history, we know the country has slowly been coming to terms with the honesty and having the honest conversation, and everyone in their family have members that are gay. It's just a matter of the situation that individual finds itself in, whether they feel comfortable or in a family environment where they can express it openly, or where they feel they have to keep it to themselves. Obviously, I've heard Mr. Collins say that his parents didn't know, his twin brother didn't know.
Yeah.
And he just said that any time that he told someone that he was close to and felt he could confide in, he said he slept a little easier.
Right.
So now I guess he can have a full night's rest in knowing that he has stepped up to the plate in an incredible way and demonstrated that it is all right to be who you are.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And I just really commend him for his courage
Yeah.
and his bravery. I mean, it's not like, in terms of his work situation, he's in between teams. So to do that, it's not like he even has a contract where if he comes out and states this, that, I'm guaranteed to work another 2 years anyway, so it's not going to impact my livelihood. He's at the end of his career. He's a year-to-year journeyman. He might not even get picked up in the beginning of the year because of his skill level, but if someone needs his services and gets hurt, if, say, God forbid, a member of another team gets hurt, well, then, teams search out, well, who's available? And, he could be called. So to be in that situation where, you're not guaranteed to work next year, and to have the bravery to come out where we hope this doesn't impact his ability to work, but to not know that and still do that, I says a great deal about this young man.
That's right. Takes a lot of strength.
Right. I think that he's a man. And for years there's always been attempts to depict gay people, particularly men, in a certain way. Because of their sexual preference, and to say that they were effeminate or whatever, and that was a way to see how black men are represented in Hollywood. To always, if you had one black character, usually he was going to be gay and he was going to be effeminate. Well, Jason Collins breaks the stereotype of a gay man. Because he's there's nothing effeminate about him. He's 7 foot first off, but there's nothing that you could depict and look at him and say he's a gay individual. And I think that's a good thing. And I also too, people who have problems, and we're going to go on a break in a couple of minutes. People who have problems with gay people, should check themselves, because here's the thing: if you don't understand something, it's not right for you. I don't understand one's being gay. I'm a heterosexual guy. I don't understand it, but it's not right for me, But that doesn't make it that I'm going to impede on their right to be who they are. If the bottom line, I recently worked a job where there's a guy or a woman now, a guy trying to be transgender and making the change. And I'll be honest, I thought he looked crazy dressing up in dresses and things like that, and in his change, trying to get that. But the bottom line for me was, I will fight for his right to do whatever he has to do to feel comfortable with himself. Because when you grow up as a minority in this country, you're made to feel uncomfortable in yourself. And you're made to feel that you're sometimes less than. So I don't want anybody to have to feel that way. So if whatever that person needs to do to make themselves feel comfortable, I certainly don't want any children to grow up feeling uncomfortable. So when people come out and they stand up and say, this is who I am, and they got on whatever they have on, or they, to the other extreme, they're not as flamboyant, I say right on, because if that makes you feel better for who you are, and you're able to survive in this world, and you don't have to battle within yourself, then that's good for them.
Here,
And just because it's not right for you, we got to go for a break for a minute. I want to finish this point though. Just because it's not right for you doesn't mean that you impede someone else's ability or right to express themselves if they're not hurting you, if it's not affecting you. So we got to go for a break for a minute. We do want you to remember about getting this CD for the BW Moving Images. On the Move. These are sounds inspired by Mumia Abu Jamal. And you can donate to GoPro Radio at GoProRadio.com. Say you heard it on the Kae Thompson live show when you donate that. I just wanted to throw that in. And directly on the site, you can click on the donate button to support the fastest growing galaxy in the fastest growing network in the galaxy. But we're going to have, our network is going to be so big, we're going to have our own galaxy in a minute. All right, we'll be right back.
We'll be back. I hope.
May 3rd from 7 to 9 p.m. You'll want to be at the Domenis Center for Classical Music at West 37th Street, where you can be a part of the book release party for Maroon, the Implacable. the collected writings of Russell Maroon Shoatz. It's been called a high document of true freedom for the masses by Chuck D of Public Enemy. For $20, you can purchase this groundbreaking book and catch performances by the award-winning Gary Bartz, acclaimed hip-hop activist Rebel Diaz, Harvard Law professor Sophia Elijah, and a host of others. It'll be hosted by our very own Ayanna Jones from the GoPro Radio Network and longtime anti-imperialist activist Matt Meyer. Who is Russell Maroon Shoatz? Russell Maroon Shoatz is a political prisoner, former member of the Black Panther Party, who has spent more than half of his life behind bars and 22 consecutive years in solitary confinement. And he still wrote one of the baddest books on the planet. I'll see you on May 3rd at the Domena Center for Classical Music from 7 to 9 p.m. This is Benjamin Barson, Eco-Socialist Horizons, and the campaign to free Russell Maroon Shoatz.
And welcome back to Kae Thompson Live. My name is Eric Payne, here with my mom, Kae Thompson.
Boo, I'm here.
And Congressman Don Payne. You still on the line there, Congressman?
I am.
Okay, so also we want to talk about really quickly the establishment of the Global Foundation in honor of your father, Donald M. Payne Sr. Global Foundation. And this is a foundation that's been established to sustain his legacy of global humanitarianism. Excuse my mispronouncing that word. And together with partners by addressing health and education disparities. And it's going to be promoting peace and youth development and uplifting the human condition worldwide. And many people know that your father, my uncle, he served the 10th District for 23 years. He was really a servant to the world. And through his work with the World Alliance of YMCAs, the United States Congress, the United Nations, and around the world, he was really one of the leading figures of our nation in addressing issues of conflict, health, and human development. One of the driving forces in getting aid money for AIDS in Africa under the Bush administration. So that has been established. It has members of a number of members on the exploratory committee. You are one of them, as well as my father, former Assemblyman William Payne, Ray Chambers, United Nations Secretary General, Special Envoy for the Financing.
There are a lot of people on that list.
And the Health Millennial Development Goals for malaria. So there's a number of people on that. So we'll be letting people know more about the foundation and how they could be a part and support that work that the Congressman's father, my uncle, was doing for so many years. You can tell when you're doing a good job when you see people on the street and they stop you in the street. And a lot of times we know this, JR. How people would stop your father, and obviously we grew up with all of that. Last time we went to a football game, went to the Giants, and we're going to the seats, and one of the people that worked at Giants Stadium stopped him and said, "Hey, that's my congressman." And he talked to your father for a while, and your father being the person that he was, of course, to speak to everybody. And we just had that experience when I came down to visit you. One of the Capitol Hill police officers was showing us where to go. You had to go to a function, and he asked you if you were related to your father, and you told him, it's my father. And this police officer said a white gentleman, had been there since 1987 and just spoke really glowingly about Uncle Don. So it's good to know, we have a legacy. You have a legacy to live up to, of course. But the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. And I was quite proud being down there, seeing you do what you do. So I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, that's good. That's so true. Also, I'd like to, go ahead, Donald.
Oh no, I just, I'd like to, I appreciate that coming from Eric, and the Global Foundation is something that we felt was important. It was brainchild of Reverend Keith Wright, who has known the elder Paynes since the mid-'70s, and at one time when your father was in business, he was a computer specialist at one of the companies that we're attempting to get business from. subsequently, he moves on to Washington, D.C., and has been involved with the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation, which my late father was the chairman of, and had worked with the CBC and my father for many years. So it was his brainchild to see what we could do in continuing the legacy and not letting it die, a slow death, and make sure that the things that were important to the congressman remained important. So his legacy and things that he worked so diligently for over 3 or 4 decades continue. I thought that the global humanitarianism, which was the part of, I think, one of my only contributions, but I felt it encapsulated my father in 2 words. And wherever he saw suffering, wherever he saw injustice, wherever he felt that people were not being treated fairly, he felt an obligation to step in, whether it be on the entire continent of Africa, in Ireland, with the situation between the British and the Northern Irish, or in Greece and their issues, wherever he found himself and was so interested in people all over the world, he felt an obligation to step in. And so that's the thing that I'm proudest of.
Right.
And, it's been such a journey this last year, in retrospect, looking back and understanding the magnitude, when you're walking along with the person and they're not pounding their chest about everything they do, you can miss the magnitude. But I always understood the good that he was doing. But in his passing, I understand the magnitude of what he was doing.
Right, exactly.
And when you can have, and I'll end with this, but this really encapsulates it for me. When you can have a president of a nation, the president of the South Sudan, a new country, send you a letter on the passing of your father, extending his condolences from he and his country, and says that, and ends it, if your father had not been involved with this, my country would not exist.
There you go.
Okay.
There you go.
Profound.
Thank you.
That's a great way to end the show.
Right.
I just want to let people know before we, I know we got a minute or two before we end, but we want to let people know that you could listen to the Kae Thompson Live show on the GoPro Radio Network. You can also listen to old shows. The show is archived, so you can go back and listen to shows that you might have missed. And when you do that, we want you to remember that every Wednesday at 8 o'clock, you can go to GoPro Radio Network and listen to us. See the show live on the Ustream network on Ustream, www.gopro.com, right?
Yeah.
And also, so what
I want to say something.
I'm sorry.
Before you end.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Also I wanted to get into a little bit about what we're going to be doing with the Amistad legislation in Jersey, and that was also a part of the Payne's, legacy here. And we want to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about that in different shows. And we're also going to be talking to Sunny Sutherland about foster care.
Right.
And we are also going to be continuing talking about the veterans' jobs that came under Mal Wolfeck's, the Global Trade and Technology Center, with people, really calling about it. So that's important, too. We're going to embrace the veterans and a whole lot of other things, including education. We're also going to be talking to a number of our Caribbean friends because of the big carnival, the festivals that are going on. We need festivals around about this time anyway. Now, you were saying, yeah?
No, I just want to let people know to listen to us, and we're going to be on our way out of here. Thanks, Congressman Payne. Thanks for having me as your co-host, Ma.
Thank you.
You don't have to flag me down. You could just speak into the mic. I'll hear you, and just interrupt like you always do at home. What's the difference? Peace.
See you later.
Yeah. What's new?
Right.
They're ganging up on me, everyone. Kae Thompson Live. Make sure
Bye,
you listen
y'all.
every Wednesday. Thanks, Eric. Thanks, Donald.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
They just